Let me try to give you the context of what I have been doing over the last 20 years and the things that I've learned here. Roto is a design build company specializing in museums and exhibitions. We're the largest such company in North America, having grown from small to large over the 20 years we've been in business, about 22 years.
I think people will be interested in what it feels like to be a Roto contributor in terms of how that might apply in mainstream companies as well. So let's dive in. First segment, Joseph, you've said a couple times to me in our conversations and exchanges coming up here, how much you invested in the kind of the core process discipline of the company as a way, part of the success. And I think some people would say, hold it, process discipline sounds very rigid. It sounds very linear. That seems the opposite of a creative environment. How has process been important to you? What lessons do you have on that?
Yeah. Like any other, again, technically intensive collaborative work, you have to have some methodology to get from the beginning to the middle to the end on schedule and on budget. So just like architects have phases of their work, so do we. Our methodology is well defined. It's actually part of the contract with our clients. We do intensive training internally just so our own team knows what the language means, what deliverables are, and all that. So just there's a skeleton of work methodology that sort of frames the nature of what we're selling, frankly. But on top of that, you have, I guess, what I would consider collaborative technologies or tools that allow for there to be an exchange of creative iteration in the context of good decision making. For example, years ago, we ended up having the same problem that I think lots of organizations have, which is the sort of meeting gridlock, the notion that I need to get a hold of two different people in two different departments and I need them at the same time and they're not available at the same time except on Thursday. So we're going to book time together on Thursday. And then as you multiply the number of people in the company, the number of projects, the number of needs for that kind of touch base, everyone suddenly just has nothing but meetings. So our solution to that is to have embargoes throughout the day. I don't mean to make this about meeting reform, but it gives you an idea of what kinds of things are systemic here. At 1:00 every single day, we're not allowed to have meetings. And that way, every single person is free to collaborate in that 5-minute quick water cooler sort of way. It was really hard to pull off, to be honest with you, to convert the company to a place where it could do that successfully. Because as you probably know, if you don't have 99% compliance with a rule like that, you don't get the benefit of it because too many people aren't available. We've extended the hour a day to the whole afternoon now on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the purpose, again, of fostering this collaboration. So there's a real rigor around that. You have to live that value. You have to enforce it. You have to train it, like I said at the beginning. And then what you find is that people start to really believe in it and rely on it, and it becomes part of your culture. And then they're the ones protecting that practice. So those are some of the things that are coming to mind for me. There's many others that are more specific to the discipline that we're in. I think just to answer the question, and I'll shut up, about the reflection back on staying creative, that is one of our challenges. We have a design capability, we have a fabrication capability, and we have the media, which is software, video, and it's all together in these various departments. And so the real leadership challenge and the project creative challenge is to get these cross-departmental things to happen where there is no command hierarchy. You can't command and control that way, but you still need things from each other. So how do you figure out how to get people to feel they trust, they have a shared vision, they're not working at counter purposes? Again, I think the best thing I could just reflect back to you that I've seen over the years that seems to work the best is figure out these cultural rituals. And that also helps instill, again, more sharing and more participation across the whole team.
How does that feedback happen, like quietly in the corners, or does it happen publicly, or how has that evolved in your culture?
Yeah, it doesn't happen enough, Tom, because honestly, there's too many things that need to be staged and looked at and talked about. One of the things that has helped is we've tried to stratify and say, look, we're going to put flags on every little component. The red flag things are the ones that need the focus and the attention. And we literally create an opportunity in the calendar to gather and look at the things that are red flags. The green ones and the blue flags are the ones that are supposed to be a little bit more routine. So you can sequester your time around the things that are most important.
I think of anonymity, Joseph.
You think of what?
Anonymous questions.
Yeah, anonymity.
Anonymous red flags.
We do have what we term a question box, which is the little thing in the lunchroom where people just put the paper in and it's allowed to be anonymous. Most time people aren't asking questions. They're making statements. This is my opinion about something. It's mostly about policy or this or that. It's rarely about the actual work, but it's really useful. And also we read them cold. We pull them out of the box, read them out. Someone else reads them out loud. And I used to be the guy answering. Now Morris mostly does that, but we're like, hey, listen, open book. And people ask hard questions.
If you were having a
We have a monthly all team meeting where intentionally we allow for there to be an agenda called the awesome updates. And we want the principals in charge and the project managers, people who are running the trains, to be the ones to speak to what's the awesomest thing that their studio or their particular work group is doing right now. And it's like a 1-minute update with an image. And because you're asking that person to nominate and then celebrate that collaborative achievement in progress, you, I don't know, in some ways force them to put on the clothes and the language of creativity and design, even though they're the project managers. You don't let them just rest in the sort of modality of being the spreadsheet person. Ask them to act like designers. In fact, we try to get everybody thinking like they're a designer here. They get them to nominate each other for appreciation. In other words, if I can nominate, we have a PUG award. It's a stupid history, but it's basically a kudos award. When everybody's together, all 100 people in one session, and they nominate each other for having helped each other out. Yes, there's benefit in the actual language of them doing that, but it's just the overall mood that it sets where, hey, we're all here together and we're not required to help each other, but man, is it more fun when we do? Isn't it more rewarding when we actually come across that way? I don't know. It's a simple idea.
Thank you.
Then it's like making sure you do full cycle. One of the things we also share is what is the social media response to the exhibits that have opened? So this is now after the projects are done. We can go back and say, look at how mom took video of the kids on the play date at the Children's Museum and all the cool things they said. They know nothing about us. They never will. But their kids had a great time. And that's that full circle payoff of, you see what we were working on the whole time? All that pain and suffering, all that creative effort was for this as an outcome. That's really been, honestly, the best time we have is our monthly all team where we with very strong intentionality, strategic intentionality, put that work in front of people on a big projection and constantly show them the best images and the best social media reports and the awesome updates. And everybody gives each other an attaboy. And that's where we recharge for the next 4 weeks.
one feel like people have to push through these barriers, these natural barriers that we have when we're, in other words, that it's not an environment where your response is natural. You have to be conscious about pushing these ideas forward or trusting your gut or something like that.
Yeah. We have a word called rigor. I struggled to figure out the right word, but it's better than the word discipline because discipline sounds more negative and militaristic. So rigor is just this concept of when you have a practice, simply do the practice and do it all the time. It's consistency a little bit, but that's gone a long way in helping people just stay on path and try to keep it simple. We used to have departments, and we long time ago, reorganized under studios, because studios could take all the disciplines that were design, project management, architecture, all that, put them into smaller work groups, and was hoping to recapture that small company entrepreneurial sense. But now the studios are like 20, 25 people each, and some of that small thing is still lost. You give things up when you get too small, flexibility and some depth. I don't know. I do think that